Hey everyone, Rho here. Today we're discussing the Terminus Decree of the Grey Knights. Just how would they be able to pull it off? General spoiler warning to begin, as the events we are discussing today are from across the Warhammer 40k universe, so you have been warned. But with that said, let's just jump straight in. So the Grey Knights, the legendary 666th chapter. This force of the Inquisition are a secret intended only to the chapter masters across the Astartes, and they are for the most part regarded as a myth. They are the Imperium's greatest weapon against the true forces of the ruinous powers, and maybe the Imperium's final hope if the darkest of days were ever to transpire. Of all the secrets and mysteries of the Grey Knights, undoubtedly the greatest, or perhaps gravest, is the one known only as the Terminus Decree. Beneath the Grey Knights' fortress monastery on Titan, deep within the vaults of the Chambers of Purity, lies the tomb of Malcador the Sigillite. Now this tomb must be largely symbolic, considering we know the fate of Malcador upon the throne. However, within this same room, there lies an artifact known only to the Supreme Grand Master of the Grey Knights. Throughout history, it has only ever been known by this one individual, and thus it must simply be one of the most closely guarded secrets within the Imperium's entire history. This artifact is a simple wooden box, embossed with a single golden seal, and this seal is matched only by one of the same design upon the Emperor's golden throne. Inside this box, it is said there lies a single piece of ancient parchment, whereupon lies the instructions for the so-called Terminus Decree. Only the Supreme Grand Master of the Grey Knights knows how to open this box, and he will only do so when all hope for the Imperium is lost. For the Terminus Decree is something so unimaginable that it has the power to save the Imperium or end it. Now we know one of the greatest things about 40k lore is just all these mysteries and secrets teased and hinted, and to me the Terminus Decree absolutely has to be right up there with the very best of them. Every time the new Grey Knights Codex rolls around, I can't help but wonder if we'll get some small movement or further tease regarding it. And it's something we've speculated and wondered about for years within the fanbase. And most likely we will forever. Because if it were ever truly revealed, well then the Imperium would absolutely have to be about to end. And as bleak as things are right now, well there's still fight left in it yet. While Rabute Guilliman lives, the forces of the Imperium will always stand a chance. So just what is the Terminus Decree? Well, there's plenty of theories out there, but undoubtedly it must involve the Golden Throne. The mention of the golden seal upon the box matching that of one upon the throne is just too undisputable to ignore, and we can probably infer a lot from the name itself. Terminus. In Latin the term means end, a boundary or limit. I think the most logical and natural assumption is that the Terminus Decree is quite simply the command from Malcador and the Emperor to turn the Golden Throne off, thus killing the Emperor of mankind. This of course leads to another whole host of questions in turn. However, undoubtedly the death of the Emperor absolutely lands within the criteria for saving or dooming the Imperium. Malcador and the Emperor would surely have considered this a final gamble and desperate roll of the dice. If the Emperor were reborn, well then you're looking at the most powerful figure in history walking the land of the living once more. Free from his bonds to the Golden Throne, I don't care what the circumstances are, that absolutely gives the Imperium a fighting chance. The other talked of outcome is rather than being reborn, the Emperor could perhaps completely ascend to godhood instead, free from the ties to the physical realm he currently has. The repercussions of that are a video's worth of conversations in itself, though I personally think this was most likely not the intention of the Emperor and Malcador. Another possibility is that it somehow involves Vulcan's talisman of the Seven Hammers. The golden seal on the box could even be the image of the talisman, which we know is installed within the Golden Throne. Considering the talisman was in essence a doomsday device which could destroy Terra and create an equivalent Eye of Terror, well, I guess you're looking at another Emperor's death outcome. However, the Emperor was very clear when talking of this to Vulcan. It would cause a blow to the gods of chaos that they would never be able to recover from. Again, as far as a final gamble, this is a definite possibility, causing such a devastating blow to chaos that it maybe gives mankind a chance to rebuild from scratch in isolated worlds elsewhere across the galaxy. Again, the theories are limited only by our imagination, but they are in truth only part of the conversation and one of the questions. Because another very relevant one when you want to discuss the Terminus Decree is why the Grey Knights? Why, of all the possible chapters or forces at the Imperium's disposal, was it the Grey Knights entrusted? Well, as a chapter founded with the Emperor's own gene seed, their loyalty would surely never be in question. Of all the forces within the Imperium, the Grey Knights would surely rank alongside the Custodes themselves in matters of unshakable faith to the master of mankind. The Grey Knights are the only real force created to face the forces of the ruinous powers. Even as loyal and formidable as the Astartes chapters can be, there would always be the smallest, tiniest risk of them failing. Scars of the Horus Heresy. The Emperor and Malcador had to entrust this final secret to someone who they could be sure would never fall. Someone they could be sure would still be there at the end. No matter what the odds, no matter what the ruinous powers threw at them. And well, the Grey Knights were the best and only choice. Why not the Custodes? Surely they of all are incorruptible and loyal to the master of mankind. They're the guys walking the Imperial Palace, guarding the Golden Throne itself. Well, yes, absolutely. But the key difference is, as Rogel Dawn said himself to Valdor so long ago, that the Custodes' sole purpose, their very reason for existence, is not to serve the Imperium, not to protect humanity. It is to protect their Emperor. If the Terminus Decree is, as we expect, a command to end the Emperor's life, to switch off the Golden Throne, well, there is just absolutely no situation ever that the Custodes would even consider it. They simply could not comprehend it. Even in the final moments of the Imperium's existence, with the rest of the galaxy in flames and the demons of the ruinous powers flooding into the throne room itself, even then, that very last custodian left standing just would not do it. He'd sell his life in the name of the Emperor, fighting to the very last. The Grey Knights, however, as much as they may not want to do it, the chapter founded by Malcador, the chapter with the Emperor's own gene seed, if they saw they were entrusted by the Emperor or Malcador with such an act, then whoever that Grand Master may be, I truly believe they would have the resolve to do it. Maybe they alone in the Imperium would. And to me, this is further proof of just why the Terminus Decree does mean switching off the throne. Because if it didn't mean harm to the Emperor, well then the Custodes themselves would have it. Now another question that always plays in my mind when it comes to the Terminus Decree is how on earth would the Grey Knights pull it off if it is intentions to switch off the Golden Throne. As I said, there is no way on earth the Custodes would remotely consider it. Even if the Supreme Grand Master was there with a parchment and seal of Malcador himself, it just would not happen. So the fact that the Grey Knights would have to get within the palace and into the throne room itself by themselves is really intriguing to think about. Would they have to try and fight their way past the Custodes? That's a pretty tall ask even for the Grey Knights. Even at max number, they're only believed to number around 800. There's 10,000 Custodes, and they are the greatest warriors within the Imperium. Maybe the Grey Knight's mastery of psychic power gives them a big advantage, and well, that could possibly be the case as well. However, we have seen, thanks to the destruction of Prospero, that the Custodes are equally adept at taking on psychic enemies. And undoubtedly more importantly, they are not the only force walking within the palace. The Anathema Psychana, the Sisters of Silence, have been called home. They are the only other armed force allowed within the inner sanctum of the Imperial Palace. And as we know, their very presence disrupts Psykers from using their powers. Now, thanks to the events of the Battle of Lion's Gate, in the wake of Guilliman's return to Terra, we have actually seen the Grey Knights and the Anathema Psychana side by side, and their presence was just as effective against the Grey Knights as any other Psyker, stunting their ability to use their powers completely. So, when you tally up the odds, the Custodes, the numbers, the Anathema Psychana, man, the Grey Knights being able to fight their way into the throne room just sounds like an impossible task, even for so mighty warriors as them. Trying to trick your way in is going to be a hard ask as well. Regardless of the reasoning, you're still entirely dependent on the Custodes letting you in. And even then, if they did let the Supreme Grand Master inside, he'd have to pull the old "what's that over there" routine just to try and buy some time to even find the matching seal. And as we know, the Golden Throne isn't exactly small. At the end of the day, the more you think about it, the more fascinating it gets. Would the parchment include a way for the Grey Knight Supreme Grand Master to sneak within the throne room? There were secret pathways that were only known to Malcador and the Emperor, so it is a definite possibility. Would it require the intervention from the Emperor himself? And so is it dependent on the Emperor even being able to do so anymore? Could all the Grey Knight's efforts ultimately be in vain, simply because the Emperor isn't the man he used to be? Oh man, can you imagine it? The final dark days of the Imperium, and the Grey Knights themselves are having to fight their way into the throne room, all in a grand attempt to try and switch off the Golden Throne. What an absolutely mad turn of events that would be. But as always guys, what do you think? Just what do you think the Terminus Decree is? And if it is truly telling the Grey Knights to switch off the Golden Throne, just how do you think they would manage to go about it? Would they really be able to fight their way in to the throne room itself? As strong as the Grey Knights are, could they really stand against the Custodes and the anathema Psychana? As always guys, leave your thoughts in the comments below, I love to read them. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. And if you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again real soon.